So enough about the zipper pouch. Let me show you how to make it. So this is what the kit will look like whenever it arrives at your door. Everything, as always, is completely pre-cut. Everything is measured exactly how it needs to be so you can take it straight to your sewing machine and start making it. So each kit comes with everything you need to complete one pouch. Take this out and show you what comes inside. So we have the zipper. Look how cute that metal finish is. Or not metal finish, well it is metal, but it's like a shiny gold. And then we have some zipper ends that is going to go on the end of these zippers. So it creates more of like a finished look like that. There is also, for the top, you have a 4-inch strip, and then you have 8 1.5 strips. You have your inside lining and fusible batting. So that's everything you need to make the... So I say let's just go ahead and get started. So the first thing that we're going to do is we are going to take these strips and we're going to lay them out. Now you can have complete creative freedom whenever it comes to this, but I will just show you what I am going to do. So it starts with a white strip and then a colored. So let's just start staggering these. And what's great is this is such an easy project. You can easily get it done in a day. So it's a great quarantine project. Get a couple, make them with your kids. I've got the top laid out. How beautiful are these blue colors? I am dying over this colorway. So what is fun about this is that you're going to sew this all into like one big block, and we're going to cut it in half, and that will give us the 2 sides of the tote bag, or not the tote bag, the zipper pouch. So it just kind of saves you a little bit of time whenever you go to sew it together. So these strips are pretty long. They're a width of a fabric. And so whenever you're working with strips that long, I like to pin them together. And so how you do that is you can eyeball it, but you just this long. So about, I don't know, every 6 inches or so. It doesn't have to be exact, but I'm going to go ahead and just clip all of these together. I want to find the center of each strip, line up those center marks, and then you're going to want to pin these together. Just because if you don't, there's just a greater chance of error whenever you're working with strips. And then you want to do right sides together. We are using Art Gallery fabrics for this, and the great thing about them is that the fabric quality is so good with these solids. There's really not a right and a wrong side, so it's okay if you can't tell. I can't tell really either with these, just because it's so high quality. And then I'm using, these are clover clips, but you can easily just use traditional sewing pins as well. I have all of the smaller strips pinned together. I'm not going to worry about this 4-inch one right now. So we're just going to go to the sewing machine and just sew a 1/4 inch along these sides to sew them together. The next thing we're going to do is iron all of these open. So I have my iron nice and hot. We are first going to set the seam by just gently pressing in the stitches. Now something I just want to remind you, whenever you are sewing these strips together, because these strips are so small, you really want to go slow and steady to try to get that line as straight as possible, because because they are so small, they're not as forgiving if you kind of make wavy lines when you're sewing it. So just take your time, it'll be worth it, and there's really not that much. So now I'm just pressing it over to the dark side. As you kind of see right there, it looks good. So now we're just going to repeat this on the rest of the strips. These are all ironed now, and so now we're just going to start piecing the whole top together, working in just in twos. We'll next sew these 2 together, and then these 2 together, and then we'll add this on at the end. I do just want to point out though, because these strips, you can see right here, these white strips are longer than the blue. It happens with fabric for some reason, and it's on this end, it's longer too. And so whenever you go to sew these, so you're going to turn them like that, you're going to want to make sure that these two line, oh, if I can get this in camera, make sure these two pieces right here line up together. That is just going to make your life a lot easier in the end. So I'm just going to pull it over, and you can kind of see right there how those two colored ones line up. So just watch out for that. I'm having major deja vu right now. This is like such a weird feeling. And I'm not sure if you can tell, but I made a mistake, but it works. I got the colors out of order, but you know what? I was going to have it going from like darkest to lightest. And now it's just kind of mixed up, but you know what? I think it looks fantastic. So I am not going to worry about it. That's what's great about this design is you can really lay the colors out however you want. So now we are going to cut. So you need to have a rotary cutter and a cutting ruler. And we're going to cut these into 10-inch squares because that's the size of each of the zipper pouches. But before you do that, you want to make sure that you have a length of 20 inches, which you should. And so if it happens to be, for some reason, it's only coming up as like 19, you're just going to cut it in half. So you're just going to divide it in half. So I'm just going to go up and I'm going to square. Oh, I've got a camera right in my face. This is really hard to cut. Okay. We're going to trim up that side. And now we're going to go in 10 inches. And then 10 inches again. And I designed this so you should have an inch of wiggle room. So I just pulled this off of the end. So you should have about an inch of wiggle room. But that's why it's so important to line up these colored strips as opposed to like the white ones. Because that way it just gives you more room. Everything is looking really good. We do need to square up these corners. I think I used more of a scant 1/4 inch instead of a true 1/4 inch because I'm actually at 12 inches and I need to be at 11.5. So now I just need to make sure that it's only 11.5 inches this way. And so I am going to try to cut as little off on this side as possible because then it's going to throw the balance off because this white strip will look a lot smaller than the other. So I'm literally taking off just a teeny little bit on this side to square it up. And then I'm going to take the majority off on this end. So I'm just going to go to 11.5. You trim that off. And so this way it gives you exactly the correct measurements. So now we're just going to take our fusible batting and the two sides over to the ironing board. So I do want to give you guys a heads up. This is not the best fusible batting I have worked with. I bought a bolt from a new manufacturer and it just isn't as nice as the one that I used before. However, I have a whole bolt of it. It still works just fine. You just have to be a little bit more patient with it. But for this project, it's going to work great. So to put the fusible batting on, you're going to take one of your tops. You're going to place it right side down. So on the back, you can feel on this, there's one side of the fusible batting that's really soft. And then the other side, it's kind of, it just has a little bit more texture to it. It also has more gloss to it. So that's the glue. And so we're going to just lay it down. It should be cut to about 1/4 inch smaller on each side. And what that is going to do is help reduce bulk whenever we go to sew this whole thing together. So just center it as much as possible, knowing that it's not fitting the entire thing. That is, I did that on purpose. Fusible batting goes on much better with steam. So I just have a water bottle that I'm sprayed on it. I've got my iron nice and hot. And then you just kind of press it. I leave it on a spot for, I don't know, 5-7 seconds. Just kind of make sure it gets nice and hot. And you can kind of see, do you see how it presses it down? That's how you know that the glue has melted. So you're just going to slowly and patiently go around all of this, and you're just going to, and you don't like move the iron, you just press it down. You just kind of hold it there for a while. So we're just going to go around and do it to this entire The batting is now ironed on, and you guys, if it's not sticking 100%, like, it's okay. We're gonna go quilt it right now, and those quilting lines will permanently like hold it together. So let's go quilt it up. This first pouch that I made, the quilting, you guys, super easy. I literally just followed these lines and quilted all the way down. It looks gorgeous. It's a super like modern minimal design. So that's one option. For this one, I'm actually going to do a crosshatch. So I am going to sew on either of these directions. So to do the crosshatch, you're going to want to mark the center. So I'm going to start on this side. I'm just going to use my ruler, line it up corner to corner. I've got the Hera marker, y'all. These things are awesome. They're only a few bucks. Then I'll show you what it does. It just like creases things. So I am just going to take the edge and I'm just going to roll this over it. And look, it gives me an awesome line to follow to quilt on it. I switched out my normal sewing foot for my walking foot. It is totally not necessary. I just did it because I want to have this guide, because I just use this to follow the line. But you can also just use your normal sewing foot, and so you would just use like this edge as a guide instead. So you do not have to have a walking foot. It is definitely handy, but you can use this. Look how cute these turned out, you guys. I love this quilting. It definitely is a little bit more time consuming, but I just love, 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 love how it looks. I do have a bunch of, it's kind of hard to see. I have a bunch of these like loose threads from wherever I cut the thread. I'm just going to go through and trim those off so that way I just have like a cleaner edge to work with. Now that the tops are done, it's time for us to prep our zipper. So we're gonna add these little zipper ends on it, so it just kind of finishes off the zipper better, makes that cute little thing. So we're gonna take this little piece to the ironing board and we're gonna make some bias tape out of it. So to make bias tape, it's really easy. So first we are just going, and this is just a small piece of fabric. We're first going to iron this in half, making sure that it gets nice and straight. And then you're going to open it up, and then you're going to fold each end into the middle. And then you're going to iron that down. Okay, we're going to go to the other side. So what this does is this just encloses all of the raw ends. And so that way you don't have to worry about fraying and stuff whenever you attach it. Okay, so now we have the 3 lines in it. So we're going to fold these to the middle. And then we're going to fold this on top. Now let's iron. And I'm going to iron this really well because I want it to stay. You know what? I think I might actually starch it because I want this to be, whoa, I got it really wet. We'll make it work. I want this to be really solid. Starch was definitely a good idea because it is not wanting to fold up at all. And so now it's hard, it's this dark fabric. So you have your raw edges in there and then it closes up. And so now we're going to take this to the ironing, not to the ironing, to the sewing. I've got this side top stitched, and so now I'm just going to trim this. We'll trim all of these ends off later. But so now we got to do the same thing with this, and this end is a little bit more difficult because you have to open the zipper a little bit, and you just kind of have to force these together. Then we're just going to take that leftover bias tape and we're just going to do the same thing. All right, got that side done. Now we're just going to, doesn't have to be perfect, but we're just going to square these up with the zippers. And now we are ready to start assembling the whole thing. So to start assembling, we're going to start with just one of the quilted tops, the zipper, and one piece of the lining. First, we're just going to take one of the tops. This is going to be right side up. We're going to take the zipper. We're going to go right side down. And then you'll notice with the zipper, so there's about a little bit more, about a 1/2 inch on both sides. That's exactly what you want, because whenever you go to sew this, you don't want to sew on top of this. You want this, you just want to sew like right against it. So anyways, you want there to be a little bit of room on each side of the zipper whenever you line it up. Okay, so we have the top right side up zipper. You see that, like the zipper end, that's going to be down. And then we're just going to have the lining on top. And we're just going to line all of these up, making sure that this zipper, you have those gaps on the end. So to just make sure I keep these, I just want to center the zipper. I'm just going to put a little pin in it for now, just to hold it in place as I sandwich everything together. So now we're just going to take the lining. We're going to line everything up. And this lining should be the exact same as the top that we quilted. So now I'm just going to take, you guys, these clover clips are the best. So I'm just going to make sure that everything is lined up perfectly. So we have all 3 layers right at the edge. And I'm just going to take the clip and clip it together. I'm switching my foot out to a zipper foot. This is what a zipper foot looks like. This should be standard with every machine that you buy. If you need to have a zipper foot for this. So if you don't, you might need to borrow a friend's machine. The fun thing about a zipper foot is it pretty much does all the work for you. So you can feel the zipper, and that is what's going to line up right next to the edge of the zipper foot. So we're just going to start. Hold on. So going slow, we're just going to just line up the edge of the zipper with the edge of the zipper foot, and we're just going to sew down. I like to start on the side where the zipper pull is not, just because it gets a little bit tricky with that bulk. So I'm about to come up on the zipper foot, and I'll show you what I do. So I keep the needle down, and I'm going to lift my foot up. There we go. And then I just kind of like reach down, and then I just pull the zipper back. So that way you're never working with that huge amount of bulk. So now I just put the foot back down, and I can finish sewing along this edge, and then this side is done. One side is done. So we can just flip this, and then we can look right here. Look how cute that zipper is. So now we're going to do the same thing with the other sides. So I'm just going to grab, so here's the other top. And so we're going to do the same thing, except I'm going to make sure that these are like lined up right. Do you see that? How it's like, keep these stripes in the same. So I am going to take the top of the other side, and then put the zipper right side down, and then we're going to put the lining on top, and we're going to pin and sew everything the same as we did last time. Other side is stitched, so now whenever you go to open it, it should look like this. So it's kind of like a little book. So we have the zipper in the middle with the zipper pull that is facing up. And then on each side, we should have a top and a lining. So we are now at one of the very final stages. Thank you guys for bearing with me. This is a long tutorial. I don't want you guys to be intimidated by all these steps. These steps are super easy. There's just a lot of them. So the very first thing we are going to do is we are going to open the zipper. That is the most important thing, or else this is all for naught. So now we are going to take the tops, the tops and the 2 linings. So we have the 2 linings on top of each other, 2 tops on top of each other, and we are going to start pinning around these edges. So once again, I'm just going to use these clover clips. The important thing to note is that with the lining, like so where the zipper is, you want to make sure that everything goes over to the lining side. So you want to kind of fold everything over to that side and just kind of line up the creases as well as possible. I actually usually start with that. So I'm just going to line up, fold it over in on the lining, and then pin right there. Everything is clipped together. I just had to make sure that like right here, you just want to line up those colors so they line up. So now we just go to the sewing machine. We're going to sew a 1/4 inch around this entire thing. We just want to make sure where the lining is, we leave, I don't know, 4-inch gap. So that way we can turn it all inside out. And I usually just put 2 clips at where the end is going to be to just remind me that we need to stop there. Okay, we are so close to being done. So I'm just going to go through and I'm just going to snip these corners. Just make sure not to snip the thread or else that would be bad. So we're just going to go and just snip the corners just to help reduce bulk whenever we go to turn it out. And so now we're just going to reach our hand in where we left that gap in the lining. And this is why we left the zipper open, so that way we can reach in to this side. And we're just going to pull it through. Oh, this is the best part. Okay. We're just going to keep wiggling and pulling and tugging until we have the whole thing pulled through. Let's see. With this top, you just kind of have to like poke your fingers in to try to get those corners out as possible. I'm just going to use this notion. It's called That Purple Thing. It's on our website. I'm just going to stick it in just to try to help gently push that corner out. That's exactly what this tool is made for. You just want to be gentle because you don't want to poke through the stitches. So the little zipper ends should just pop up. They should not be sewed on the ends. Just like that. They're looking so good. Oh my gosh, you guys. Look how cute this is. The very last step is just actually to take the lining. And then we are just going to sew up the opening. It's the lining. No one is ever going to see it or think twice about it. So I really don't put a whole lot of time and effort into it. I just kind of zigzag it shut. So here is what I did. Told you it's not very pretty, but it is okay. And now we just stuff the lining all the way in, making sure the corners are nice and pointy and the edges. Oh my goodness, I love this. You guys, guess what? We are all done. Look how cute that is. I just gave it a nice pressing and it is officially done, you guys. Look at what we made today. I know there's a bajillion little stories that go into this, but I just wanted to go into detail so that way you could be confident whenever you're making it yourself. I love how this turned out. So these are the 2 colorways we will have available. We'll have it in blue. We'll also have it in this pink. So those will be the 2 options.